Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, my name is Frank Perrine,
I'm Cody Decker.
and today we'll be going over
The Beginning of the End by Manuel Wario, narrated by Nick Podell.
a South American zombie tale, a young lawyer's struggle to survive in Apocalypse Z.
Yeah, the Z being the zombie apocalypse.
Yes.
Which listening to this narrator, who I am very fond of the way he talks and pronounces things. The way he says burrito, I don't know why, but I just that's like ASMR to me. The way this guy talks and enunciates, very enjoyable. Also, the narrator from the John Dies at the End series. And the John Dies at the End series has a zombie apocalypse book that starts on a very similar note. They were published in the same year.
Really? I didn't even know that.
Which, books, once it's written, that takes a year to get. So, it's not like someone saw the other one first.
Yeah.
It's just a very strange coincidence that he narrated both came out at the same time about a very similar subject.
Oh, that's pretty interesting. What I liked about this book, well, all of you guys know I love zombie books. I don't think I've met a zombie book I don't like, but it's from a totally different take from a different country.
Yeah, it's by a Spanish author.
Yeah,
which I forgot because it kept saying it happens in Russia, so in my head it was Russian.
Yeah, and you have to take that into account because some of the things might not make sense. Why there's so much Russian influence or what's happening. Well, it makes sense because it's logistically where, the fact that not a lot of people, no one has guns really makes sense.
Yeah, we're just like, that's like a plot hole. Why would no one have guns?
Right. And the fact that sometimes on how he's nonchalant about things makes sense.
And I also liked his character progression.
Oh, loved it.
I don't particularly enjoy zombie stories. I really liked how this one was told.
Yeah, I mean, most zombie stories are the typical, I'm writing a journal, but then halfway through it, you're going to forget that I'm writing a journal because now it's full on story mode.
It never stopped being a thing. Sometimes they'll even ignore that as being the structure.
Well,
and they'll just be like, now it's just a book again.
And it makes sense because you have to. How else are you going to explain? Well, you know what? And that Russian guy said to me.
Yeah.
So it makes sense. I understand why it's done.
And the setup I liked too, because he would be like, you won't believe, this just happened, and then he's summarizing it. That has never felt more true than in this book, that he's writing about something that just happened the day before.
Yeah, and I like the character. One of the things I don't know if one of the things I didn't like about it is that he has a cat. And he got the cat, and his wife died, and they kind of brushed over that real quick. I don't think there was a lot more time given to his relationship with his wife
because it's sprinkled in that he misses her, which I towards the end, which I liked. But it is every time it got brought up, I forgot it was a thing with him,
right? Yeah,
because I was mostly like, oh, he has a cat.
Yeah, and I don't know why this is totally coincidental. Why we're doing a couple books with cats in them. Right.
This will be this is the third one. Yeah.
Yeah. Dungeon Carl with a cat and this guy with a cat, but
Aeronauts Windlass has a cat.
Yeah. But
Cats and Zombies could be a podcast name for this.
But when you read it, or listen to it, take into account, it's really good. I liked it because it was totally different. Sometimes the character may be too naive. They play him off too naive on what's going on, and other times they don't. But the progression of his character towards the middle and end of the book are phenomenal.
That is probably the highlight of this book for me, was having him mention that, I like how he would talk about, I feel like, this would have freaked me out a week ago, but now I'm more used to this. And and then as it goes on, now he's now I'm starting to enjoy it. Now I'm getting good at it. Now I'm doing.
Yeah.
I like too that he wears a wetsuit, which it felt kind of
that was super cool.
Superhero-ish.
That was kind of cool.
And it made sense too, because that would be resistant to biting, and it's that's his uniform he puts on, and
Yeah.
And like for heat regulation, which I never thought of before, this goes into a lot of like, here's like here's like solutions to this. Here's things you may not have thought about being an issue in the first place.
And I figured you'd like that out of it.
Yeah, those are the highlights of it. I thought
Because they did things, but not to the extreme where you're like, okay, you're putting too much time into doing it.
it was very like I had a wetsuit. That's good. And I was like, oh, that makes so much sense. That's literally why you wear them in the ocean.
Yeah.
Is for temperature regulation. Why that thought never would have occurred to me, and it makes so much sense.
Yeah. And they even do crazy stuff. I mean, his thought process in what would happen, I think was unique. It was good. In certain aspects, like, wants to make it to the bay and get a boat, and then all the boats, of course, are gone.
Because that's everyone's plan.
Because that was everyone's plan. And the only one that was there, he makes it to. And the only reason it's still there is because they burned out the motor for the anchor. And there's bullet holes all. So people were fighting over in that boat. But the only reason they left it was because they burned out the anchor thing. And I just thought that some of the thought processes in his stuff was good. It made it feel... I don't want to say real, but it just made it feel...
This felt like a realistic take on it, too. I especially liked how the beginning, it's a very slow burn.
Yes.
And it's also always fun when you go through a story that talks about a plague outbreak.
Yeah.
It's always fun in this era now to be like, that's funny how they got it right.
Yeah.
That's funny how, they were like, oh yeah, here's how people... He goes, here's how people reacted.
Yeah.
Here's how I thought. One day it was this. Now, yeah. When he talks about the masks, it was like that is exactly what happened.
Oh yeah. No, that was really good.
He talks about how like people are going crazy. Some people are so concerned they're wearing masks. Cut to like 2 journals later. Now it's like everyone's wearing a mask. Someone got kicked out for not wearing one.
Yeah.
It's like this is all what happened.
Yeah, and it's interesting because throughout it, he talks about his sister and talks about his mom and dad. And I mean, we're talking about South America, so we're not talking about large areas where they're like 300, 400 miles away or something. His sister, he took a small flight to go see his mom and dad. Yeah. So, and it's interesting how they're talking about, I could totally picture his neighborhood.
I can't.
I could totally picture the house and his big fence and the backyard and the fence to the neighbor's house. It was believable to me, and I liked, like I said, I liked some of the progression, some of it I didn't, but, and then all of a sudden, he sees the army zombie guy with a gun, and he's like, yes, and you think to yourself, yeah, everyone should have a gun, but this is South America, so not everyone's going to have a gun. And he is a lawyer, and he's young, and he works a lot of times from home, and he, was going to do the solar thing, had nothing to do with it. So that was kind of cool too.
Yeah.
But once it starts going and the relationships that he makes and the kind of badass that he becomes, but still kind of like scared.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
I think this was a great example of character progression.
Yeah.
I think one of the best examples that you could show someone.
Yeah.
Because it was believable. Like he does do like a really badass thing. But it doesn't feel like he was like, I figured it out now. It was like he got to that point.
Yeah.
Because, he handled this threat. By the end of it, now he's going like,
Yeah.
And you were there for the entire experience.
And when he's telling other people and stuff. And
yeah, they're like, you survived that? Like, those are one of those things that I like when people comment that, like, you managed to get out of this?
And it's crazy because they, in the book, audiobook, it's not just like most of the books that I've read or I've heard where, the zombie thing, he's doing the thing and they go through it and the zombie's the enemy and there's kind of a sub story, but majority of it's, survival and blah, blah, blah. And you always have the bad guys that are in the zombie thing.
Humans are the real monsters.
Yeah.
First time, by the way, I didn't just roll my eyes when they said it. Because I felt like it was, it felt because it's, this book is this character telling you it.
Yes.
It didn't feel as like, I never like the humans would be the monsters in a zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, but they did a good job with the Russian freighter. Because at first you're like, oh my gosh, how fun is that? How cool is that? Look, we got these friends. And then when he starts explaining what the boat went through, how many people died from this disease, how many people died from that, the sewage problems, all that, you're like, yeah, that causes an issue.
As soon as they talk about food, I like the whole thing where they he gets into like electricity's out, no more showers. I like how he starts talking about how I don't know, he's been celibate for a long time because it's the apocalypse, and he's like, I'm starting to smell like things I haven't smelled like that, like your brain's never like been. I like that. Just going into, he's like, no, he's like, she smells like a woman, which is something I've never thought before, but he's like, I can smell that now.
Yeah. And the relationship with the cat isn't too much.
It doesn't, like, it's not like annoying.
Yes.
It's not like the cat keeps getting him into trouble.
You would expect that.
Yes.
I expected, the cat going out there and leading the zombies to him and all that, but it's not.
The cat, gains like human intelligence and is like, oh, the cat can sniff this out and it's gonna warn us when this happens.
Yeah.
It is like, that's a cat that he loves.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want it to die. And that's it.
And the cat loves him.
Yeah. They have a good relationship, but it's not it doesn't gain, a lot of stories just have every animal act like a dog, or they have it like cause issues, or like, just let the cat die.
Yeah, and I like the pauses in between the normal storyline, where you'd have this little mini adventure and then the storyline, a mini adventure, then the storyline, then the big storyline. I dug that because it was more like that's what would happen, and how they figured things out when because he eventually makes it to the boat, and that's what he's living on.
Yeah.
And that was pretty cool. And so he would go in and get supplies and go out. And
it also does the thing that I like in zombie stories, which is they start mentioning that, like, it's not just normal zombies, like other stuff is happening now.
Yeah.
I like that. This is a very good video game type setup, which I like in the story.
I can so see that.
Because there's a point where they're told, like, you can go here, you can get this, but you need to get this item. He's like, what am I, a courier? Like, and it's like he's getting sent on a fetch quest that might kill him. And
and the fetch quest is crazy because you really don't understand it. So he's teamed up with a Russian and I think I forgot what, the Pakistani guys.
Yeah.
And they're supposed to. He's supposed to go into the town because he knows the town, and find the post office, and get this briefcase that has red tape around it. Now, first, even you're going, that's stupid, and this guy can't leave unless he has that box or he hears from his base, and he's explaining, dude, there is no more base, there is no more this, and the Russian guy, he makes sense in a way. He's like, this is my order. This is what I'm supposed to do, whether there's nobody or not. This is what needs to happen.
And I don't know if liked is the right word, but he gets like, this guy, he gets like just starts getting choked while he's being told that.
Oh, yeah.
And I did like that it was, this guy does have to do this because, he's not a tough guy.
No,
so
not at all.
It's also like, I could also just kill you.
Yeah.
It's just, this guy's being told, like, you need to follow this. I'm your leader as far as you're concerned.
Yep.
Also,
you need to do this and do it. Go get the box. Come back. Then maybe make you live.
Then we maybe have you live.
Maybe. But do this first. Go. Go. So it was. So what was cool is that they're, and it's funny, they were kind of descriptive in the beginning, but I felt like they got more descriptive, as the book went on injuries and zombies and where people's jaws are hanging off and and one of the cool parts was, I know this is going to sound really weird, but one of the cool parts is how emotionally they pulled off, someone turning into a zombie. So when the Pakistani guy turned into a zombie, how it affected his friends and how it affected everybody, and it was so believable. The one guy was getting drunk, the other guys were like out of their mind, and they knew he was going to turn. That part in itself, I thought, was very intelligently done. It wasn't just like, oh, he's going to turn, shoot him.
Yeah.
Like in most movies you have happen. I mean, this is their friend, and it emotionally pulled over how it should have into each character.
Yeah. This is, even though I don't enjoy these stories, it was like, I'm listening, I'm like, that was pulled off extremely well.
I thought it was. And for me, I'm just a sucker for zombies. I just like zombies. So for me, even though some of the stories are the same, I just I don't know. And some of them change it. This one I liked because the different perspective from a different country, different writer.
Yeah, that was fun.
And what I liked about it is that you notice more of the newer releases and the newer guys writing things. You notice a lot more how all these movies and all this content changes their perspective. And I find that super interesting. Like now, there's a lot of norm on faster zombies. There's a lot of norm on different style of zombies. There's a lot of norm on those things that are introduced from video games, that are introduced from movies, that are introduced from things like 28 Days Later. I mean, even though they're not zombies, a lot of people put them in that rate, and then they channel into other areas. So a lot of the newer writers will do that. So it's not like that cheesy old way. It's not even Walking Dead. It's like, yeah, they're shuffling, but all of a sudden in this book, yeah, they're getting fast.
Yeah, it starts like, oh, it's like an infection it's causing. It's like, right, and then like it's like, no, this is beyond that.
Yeah.
I did like the because it's called Apocalypse Z, and I think it really leans into the apocalypse side of a zombie outbreak.
Yeah.
And because like all that makes sense. So like even if like it's basically using zombies as like a way of telling this apocalypse story.
Yes.
And it's a believable progression. And I feel like a lot of zombie stories will just cut to Walking Dead in particular, be like he fell asleep and he woke up and zombies took over. But this like really lays it out for you. Like in this world, this is exactly how that happened. And here's like your everyman's like.
Now, what did you feel? How did it make you feel? I'm not saying that it made you sad or anything, but how did when him and the pilot come across the little boy?
It's a thing I like in stories.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, because children are left out of zombie stories.
Yeah,
all
the time, all the time.
And I liked how like it's mentioned pretty like where he talked about how like you could see like there were children of all age ranges, which is a thing that's completely ignored in a lot of zombie stories.
Yeah,
and I was very fond of them going into that with the kids.
And I liked the fact that, I mean, his full humanity as a dad and everything like that, he just shut down. And all of a sudden, here's this lawyer guy that really needs this pilot guy, really needs this soldier dude to kind of snap out of it. Mm-hmm. But he's not. He's out of it. I thought that was great. Because, I mean, that's what would happen to people.
Yeah. And
they in the movies, they perceive everyone as going to be this Rambo, just run out there and I'm going to take out all the zombies. I'm going to survive. Bullshit. Yeah. I mean, could you imagine?
I think a lot of people don't have it in them to kill someone.
No.
And it's like that's
I totally agree.
Yeah,
and especially if it's your mom coming at you.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna do it.
Or because a lot of people won't even kill someone in self-defense.
Yeah,
like it's like I mean, there's the whole thing. You have to train someone to be able to do that, and that's like a thing that I know in like the army is an issue. Is like a lot of people don't even aim to kill.
Yeah,
like
psychopaths will rule the world.
Yeah, which is how you get the humans are the real monsters angle, because I mean you know. Because the whole thing is, it's like, well, before civilization happened, humans were able to make civilization happen.
Yeah.
That's like that goes into the whole philosophy of what a zombie apocalypse is and stuff. But
I think it's almost subconscious now. I really think people just writing the stories have those ideals and have those ideas, but you know, sometimes it's a survival aspect or story, and they just don't want to make it normal, and that's good because then it starts adapting and mutating, and next thing you know, you have nuked zombies in some books, and you have other zombies, and you get that from video games, you get that from now a traditional like me, not too big. I don't mind the fast zombies, but I don't, the whole, Resident Evil zombies where you have this big bulking dude that blows up. I don't know. That's just not me. And it's the same chef that blows up, all the time.
Dying Light is the only zombie game I like.
I gotta play that.
You have to, and
I gotta play that.
It does a lot of, especially 2, does a lot of fun ways of playing with like zombies, and
cool.
in that one they're more of like vampire zombies and stuff. That's the thing. The only zombie thing I really have ever gotten into is that one. I avoided I never played like Left 4 Dead, or I only played like the first Resident Evil, like the one where you're in a mansion.
Oh, the old
on PS1. That's the only one I ever played.
Wow. Resident Evil 5 or 4. That's when the first gens came out. So they were able to animate multiple characters. So you're in the Ukraine, and there's this old house, and you kill a zombie, and then you walk into this little town, and you have binoculars, and you look. And there's like more than 50 town people. And you look close, and they got like hatchets in their backs and, hiding knives. Well, you go and you try to sneak around, and you end up where all of them are trying to kill you. And all of them are coming at you. Pretty intense video game. That one's pretty cool. But, in this audiobook, in the end, there's spoilers, but not really. It's most of these books are very short, so they're very enjoyable to read. You could do things while you're doing it. You don't really need to pay too much, like I got to pay attention to every word that comes out of the dude's mouth. Trust me, it's good. I like the progression of the character, like the fact that how you learn about zombies like he learns about zombies in kind of a real time. I like that.
Yeah. This was a cozy zombie story, I would say. It's not that it's like not emotional. It can get
yes,
that way, but it is a thing where I'm like, this is I can play video games while watching this.
Yeah.
Or listening to it, and then I'm like, oh, and then I can pause and be like, oh, that's an interesting scene. Okay. And then he's like, yeah, we're out of food. We're all drinking Pepsi now. We're almost out of Pepsi.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really need to be here for that. That is not that it's badly written, but it's like, I don't need to be like focused in on listening to it.
Exactly. And don't let Russians get you.
Which now more than ever.
Yes. Because in book we get screwed, which is good. In the book, very creative. They have to go in and get the briefcase, and they still don't know why. Oh, sad story is where they come across a guy that hung himself, that has been living off of Twinkies and everything since the very beginning, and that was brutal. Anyway,
I like the there's people that there's a guy who didn't even know there was anything happening.
Yeah, and it's cool. So the character, he really kind of becomes kind of this leader. And the Russian guy has his cat. That's why he has to do these things. So he's looking, the guy that he's with is a helicopter pilot. And he knows that the captain has a helicopter part that he needs. So then it becomes this whole mission for them to figure out how to get the helicopter pilot part. So I thought that was very unique how he pulled that off. And with the main Russian guy. So that was pretty smart.
Yeah. It pulls off everything very well and very believable. I like, the way the fights are even described too. I like where he mentions he got, especially because he's not used to any of this. So I
Yes.
do like seeing, he like messed up and now he's covered in gasoline and now he has to like,
That's
he's
great.
like, I'm covered in oil. And it is like, oh
That's
yeah,
great.
it's like, what do you can't even wash that off now.
Yeah, no, those parts were good. And I know for me, I don't think we're gonna be doing another zombie one for a while.
No.
Yeah.
Unless we count
Someone
this book as full of
request or something like
spiders.
that.
But that's not a zombie story.
It's really not.
It's a story about zombies.
Well,
It's about people's idea of zombies.
yes, yes. But other than that, I think it's a good kind of, it's actually a short story. What is it? Only
It's 11 hours.
11 hours?
Which 11 hours translates to about 400 pages.
Yeah. So it's definitely good. I don't know what the second book is, if there's a second book, because I know that I just have the first one. You could find, stilled images on YouTube.
So if you were curious about this book, you could look it up on YouTube and just see
Oh
what
yeah, and you
happens.
could see. Yeah, you see the picture of the cover.
Oh, and then nothing else.
No, yeah, that's it.
Oh, so that's interesting.
Yeah, but you can start there and progress and listen on another platform. So, for me, I think overall, I think it's a fun read. It doesn't have to be super intelligent. It's not a dumb book. I think it's really well written. I like the different author from being from another country's take on it. I thought that kind of comes off pretty well. And some of the things that he does, his mannerisms, things like that. So, I mean, if I was going to give it, out of 5 severed heads, well, those aren't zombie heads. So 5 severed zombie heads. I mean, I think I would probably give it a 4.
I'll give it 3 out of 5.
3-point hand.
3-point hand. I'll give it 3
3-point hand.
3
So
point.
3 points and a hand.
I'll
So
I'll give it that. The
that's
only
3.5.
the only thing that really felt like what was when the girl comes in right at the end of the story.
Yes, I think that was almost a setup for a second book. So he has companionship. That's
Yeah.
how I looked at it.
Yeah.
Because this is out of nowhere, all of a sudden they find her in a car.
Yeah. I like the part where he talks about how like thrown off he is now meeting a girl.
Yeah.
Which is it's like, oh yeah,
I did that. That part did kind of rub me wrong. I like the idea how they found her, but just the fact that all of a sudden here comes this chicken. You could almost in your mind I could see her hair flying and her walking out in her thongs. Oh my gosh!
yeah, she looks immaculate.
Thank God you guys came, but they did say that she stunk really bad.
Oh yeah, he's like she smells, which I liked it, but it's weird to describe it, to say it out loud. But he's like she smells pungent, and he's like
Yeah,
and I'm like I
Could you
get,
imagine?
like I get what you
Jeez.
mean, but
Yeah. I guess if you're in that zombie thing for so long, I get pungent is good.
yeah, this doesn't go into it as much as Zombie Fallout does, but he does start talking about how like everything
Yes.
just smells terrible now.
Yeah, yeah. Which kind of adds to it. I notice a lot of zombie books do that. It's like the same formulary, really. It just depends on how it depends on where they go with it. Like there's other books that I've read. I don't think we've done them, but it's a really good take on it. And you got fast zombies that are due to we tried to nuke the cities and the nuclear fallout and the radiation stopped the bacteria from the zombies breaking down. So now they're not decaying at all. So basically, you've made them. They'll be here forever.
Because I think did we already cover everything with it? Because we could just talk about other stuff for a bit if we're gonna talk about zombie stories.
Yeah,
Because there's
we're already done with that one.
there's because outside of that, it's like just telling you the story. I think it's well pulled off. I just don't like zombie stories. That's why it's a 3 out of 5. 'Cause I'm like,
Yeah.
I mean, it did what it did. There are moments that stood out to me. It's just not the whole book. There's this game series called Dragon Age,
Oh,
and so it has this like they're called the Dark Spawn, and it's like they come from like underground, and their blood and like your main character, like you can gain abilities by drinking their blood, but you're gonna turn into one of them Like that's going to
Oh,
happen.
okay.
So like it'll give you enhanced abilities, fight them for a bit, and once you know you're supposed to turn, all you do is you just go walk into their homeland and you just fight them until they kill you. And that's like what a Grey Warden is. And it's like it's called a blight. And when it takes over a place, it kills everything, including bacteria, so bodies don't decompose.
Oh,
So
that's kinda
everything
crazy.
is perfectly preserved because there's even death, like even like bacteria, viruses, all of it's completely dead.
Yeah.
So people like walk through it and you can just see like everybody just perfectly
Ooh, that's cool.
preserved.
And that's like, yeah, that's like this book. They did a good job at that. But it's still the same premise. You know, I like, I like zombie books and stuff like that just because, I like the whole end of the world thing. I don't like it, but in the end, all that, the whole thing, especially with zombies and people figuring things out, and you know, I think it's really cool. A lot of them are putting so much different twist on it. You know, like you know, zombie Fallout. Is it about zombies? Yeah, but there's all sorts of other stuff going on. You know, behind the scenes, in front of the scenes, and yeah, so it is a zombie book, but not really.
Yeah, that's why I love the premise of Like and Fallout.
Oh, Like and Fallout was
I
great.
thought that was such a cool idea of like a zombie apocalypse happens.
Yes, in the past,
And
hundreds of years.
Now, like, now we're in the world that survived that.
That's rebuilding. A
And
beautiful thing.
And they talk about, yeah, we're starting to get this again. We're getting this again. We're starting to get together. And it's like, yeah, civilization would rebuild much faster because we already have access to all this like knowledge and resources.
Right.
So it's not like, you know.
Yeah, but then the twist is amazing. You have a whole, you know, challenge and fight going on between werewolves and vampires on a food source, which is us. And that is just nuts. That
Yeah.
was such a good premise. So, you know, the werewolves are at a point now where they're like, hey, we could take over the whole thing, not realizing that before they had to hide in the shadows and just take out people that they wanted because mankind had so many of us. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
Great. I like it. So
Might have been a little quick review.
I think it was. The story is what it is. It's kind of short too.
Yeah. Well, because it's like if you like zombie stories, I would recommend this.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of like new things you can get out of it, and so as far as like survival.
Yeah, and if
like,
there's any books that you would really like us to like zombie ordering, we're not going to do them right away. But if there's a book that like just crazy, just let us know. You know, go on Discord, let us know. You can, you know, email us. Well,
I mean, you can message us on Instagram.
Yeah.
I got people every now and then. They're like,
Yeah.
That's all my Instagram is for, by the way. People are like, why don't you post or update your profile picture since you've had the same one since you were 18? I'm like, it's just there in case
Yeah.
someone wants to find me. That's what my Instagram is for. If people message me, like, they'll be like, you should check this out. You know, that's what the Discord is also for.
yeah.
Some people.
And you could go to my Instagrams and DM me. Most of those Instagrams are for my art and gallery stuff. It's down in Laguna. So, but you know, get a hold of us. Let us know.
Yeah, I've had a couple of people. They'll be like, "I'm working on this like thing. Do you want to like check it out?"
That'd be
like,
so cool.
Yeah, people like I wrote like one chapter of a manga I'm doing. I'll be like, "Oh yeah, here's what I liked about. It, here's
Ooh,
what I
that'd be
didn't."
cool. It'd be cool to like read out, like if someone wrote like just a page, not script, but just a page kind of, and us like read it out, like act it out.
Yeah,
That'd be cool. Maybe get some sound effects, you know.
make our own graphic audio.
Make our own graphic audio. I like that. Well, anyways, well, thank you guys for coming out. You can contact us, please. We have a lot of things coming, intros and end of the show and different kind of look. So we hope you like it. We're going to do a live to kind of, you know, launch it out. And I think that's it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all.
Bye bye.
See you later.